What's the number one challenge for businesses today?
Workforce development, attracting, recruiting, and retaining people.
And that's why we created this podcast, designed for the frustrated CEO, the under-resourced recruiter, or the overworked manager, to give you the tools to tackle those WTF moments.
It's time to open another workforce therapy file.
Hi, Molly.
Hey, Jamie. Welcome to this episode of Workforce Therapy Files. Jamie and I are excited, disappointed, but looking forward to what it is that we're going to be able to do together. And we have some news for everybody. So I am not great at drum roll, as I've been told. So we're going to mentally think of drum roll, please.
Done.
Got it. What you got for us, Jamie? Where are we headed?
I'm so excited that we didn't try to generate a drum roll.
Do that. Yeah.
Well, if we were to go back to the beginning of Workforce Therapy Files, it started when Jason, Molly, and I sat in a room and identified that our three companies were really targeting the same type of partnerships with companies. We were trying to find places where we could be long-term partners solving problems to help companies thrive. And we were all approaching it from different angles. And we realized there wasn't any competition. If anything, there was a lot of complement in how we worked together. So it started as projects that we would co-opt for clients. And then we were like, we should really let people hear the way that this conversation goes, because we just enjoyed each other's company so dang much. And that still is true today. But we are making a pivot because of a number of different reasons. But ultimately, Jason will be devoting his time and energy to continuing to grow the amazing services that Crowd South provides to its clients. And Molly and I will continue to produce Workforce Therapy Files with the help of none other than Jim Ray. And we are going to highlight things that are still happening in our space. It is a little bit easier for Molly and I to get together because we live in the same community and have an opportunity to do that. But we are also using this type of approach more because Jim added white couches. And so now we are going to be virtual because I don't think he trusts me to sit on a white couch. And I don't blame him, if I'm honest. I don't blame him.
Well, when I get on a couch, typically I like to get comfy cozy, get a little snuggle blanket, watch a good movie. So, we want to make sure that we're focused and really generating those right questions to ask our guests.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So our hope is that Jason will continue to come back from time to time, because I know that our listeners have really appreciated the way that our trio has chatted. But Molly and I believe that with the continued focus on having great interviewees for us to talk to,
right,
and people who are out here blazing their own trail, we'll continue to have that kind of content. And we also have a couple of opportunities where we will be in person.
That's right. So a few things that we're going to be able to do in person. One coming up in particular is the SHRM Kentucky Conference that's going to be held at the Galt House in Louisville, Kentucky. We'll have our booth set up for guests to come and chat with us about who they are, where they are, and the topic of the year. What is really impacting workforce and the development of individuals within their organizations, and how do leaders become better guides for individuals in their careers. So really excited about the conference this year and what that can bring. Not only as opportunities for people to talk and listen to the keynotes, which are some great keynotes, by the way, we are going to be able to get their time and interview them while we're there at the conference. So looking forward to those opportunities. And I must say, really excited about an upcoming partnership with SHRM Kentucky for the year of 27. So thinking about what we're going to be able to do to bring some more excitement and gathering behind all of the wisdom that the SHRM Kentucky brings to all of us HR folks that definitely need help when it comes to all of the regulations and things that change that we may not always have the greatest insight to, but the greatest benefit of being a part of something like SHRM is there's always an expert that you can lean into that can help you find the right answer. So really looking forward to the SHRM conference coming up. And then, of course, what it is that we're going to be able to do, Jamie and I, along with the broadcasting wisdom of Jim Ray, we're going to be able to do for the year of 27 with SHRM Kentucky. And then we are looking forward to having a live podcast recording at the Goodwill Opportunity Center here in Louisville, Kentucky. It's an amazing space that they have agreed to let us come in and have some guests. We're looking for about 100 guests as Jamie, me, and our guest, Gabby Jaggers, where we are going to have Jason come in and support us on that episode. So we're really excited to look forward to seeing you guys in person at that event. But really just going into the new year, and what it is that Jamie and I want to do is continue to bring information to our listeners and the folks that have grown up with us over the last 3 seasons, and learning more and bringing people to the show that you may not otherwise have met, given their industry and the support that they can guide. So thank you, Jamie, for continuing on this journey with me. It would have been a different, what some may say, easier decision to say, you know what, we're just going to say that this has been a great game and continue on as we have as business colleagues, but sticking together and continuing this into the next season.
That's right.
Workforce Therapy Files, we're looking forward to it.
I think collectively, if we were to look retrospectively, we have probably interviewed about 50 people at the SHRM conference.
Yeah.
And last year we were able to speak to each one of the keynotes. And I'm really excited to continue to grow our footprint at that conference. Excited about the placement of our booth. And if you haven't ever stopped, we're easy to talk to, I think. Right? I mean, it's pretty cash. So if you want to come and hop on a mic and tell us about your company, your experiences, the things that keep you up at night, any of those topics are fair game. So we look forward to chatting with folks as you can stop by the booth and share with us. Also, I don't know. I'm a little nervous about the Goodwill experience because we'll have a live audience while doing this is a whole different. So I hope that you're able to tune in for that whenever we launch it. And Molly, I don't know that there's many journeys I wouldn't go on with you. So I'm excited to be able to continue. And if you got one of the OG Workforce Therapy File stickers, that means that you got in early, you know?
Yeah.
So, Jason, you've always been one of our favorite people to talk to and will continue to be. And I hope that we have an opportunity to partner with you more in the future.
That's right. Jason's a cool cat.
Facts.
Yeah. Well, before we wrap, I want to make sure, is there an opportunity for you and I just today to wrap up this file and maybe touch on something that is burning for either of us?
You know, I have a really random topic.
Okay.
But before we do that, what is
the
date of the SHRM conference?
Oh, yes. Sorry. SHRM Kentucky Conference is August 25th and 26th.
In
Louisville, Kentucky at the Galt House.
And the Goodwill event is September 16th.
Why do you know that date right off the top of your head, Jamie?
Because it's Mexican Independence Day. And also my birthday.
There you go.
But it's also Mexican Independence Day, which I feel like
great.
Is very impactful. So
yeah, it is.
The thing that I had this aha moment recently, and I thought it would be worth bringing up. Okay. So, Molly, I'm going to talk about engagement surveys for a second.
Okay, let's do it.
Every company I've ever worked for has done engagement surveys annually or biannually.
Mm-hmm.
Usually the cycle would look like this. We would go out, prepare our file, we would go out and survey our population, and then we would put it together. We'd put together the results, share them with leaders, and then we'd create a pretty robust action plan based off the results. And we would work on that action plan between the survey completion and the next survey, right? But sometimes those actions would be a year long, right?
Right.
In terms of how long it would take. So I've been working with a company who recently moved to a new platform, and we are surveying our population monthly. I was so nervous about doing this in the beginning. But what's been very interesting, and I wanted to share this because I am interested in hearing any of the reactions, because monthly sounds like a big ask, right? Especially if you tried to match the same cycle of how you dealt with the data that you received.
Mhm.
But what's been interesting is the platform that we've been using has the ability for individuals to add comments, to react to those comments and interact with those comments. And it gives us the ability to gauge how we're performing every month as like a point in time view. And what we've been using it for is micro movements because there's so many things happening in this environment. So the ability to do one giant robust action plan would not be feasible for the environment that we're in. And I've never seen this type of agility as it relates to the use of employee data. And it felt really bizarre and awkward at first. But now it's become such a regular cycle of communication and touch points. And oh my gosh, I didn't know that was happening. Let me get somebody on that immediately. And solving somebody's in the moment question or concern or thing like it's just kind of blowing my mind. So I wanted to share that because I've had an opportunity to reflect now a year into using this approach. And I probably spent the first 6 months asking myself, is this the right way to do this?
So, Jamie, with the first question, I have a lot of thoughts. So
Yeah,
I'm
I figured you
taking
might.
notes
So
over
I
here.
was just,
So is this company, is it an established company or is it more of a startup?
it's more of a startup.
Okay. So that helps.
Hmm.
And the reason why I say that helps is because if it were an established company, and what I mean by that is there are some companies that are 10, 15 years in and still behaving like a startup, right? But let's say that you've got a really solid foundation of the services that you produce and the key things that you provide, whether it be the widget or the service or whatever it is that you're doing as an organization. If you've got that solid foundation, I feel like monthly would be a lot, right?
Yeah, I
But
think monthly
considering
so.
this, yeah, right. And
Mhm.
plus all the data is in HR that you have to deal with that you're getting. I mean, especially if you're not doing anything with it. But my original thought, a startup, I totally get that.
Mhm.
You want to constantly keep your people engaged, and the culture and the environment is still being created at that point, right? And oftentimes we find that the folks that are helping deliver the startup that are building the foundation and creating those consistencies and compliance are definitely going to be a different season of those 5 to 10 years down the road, right?
Sure.
So I understand getting a monthly survey for a startup,
Hmm.
a company that's evolved and is more solid foundation and continuing to grow the organization. I feel like that would be tough. Um,
I think it's tough regardless. The only thing is that when I look at companies and the way that technology is growing and shifting and changing, there's so much about what makes a startup, like the markers of a traditional startup, that a number of companies are starting to feel like, regardless of how long they've been in business, are the things they put in practice.
yeah.
Because, systems and tools, and gosh, generations that are in the workforce, how to engage with folks differently, the type of industry that you might be in terms of how people connect. So, like if your company is more introverted just by nature of the type of work that you do, is this kind of anonymous platform the better way to engage folks potentially? If it's, I think there's so many things that I don't know that startup and non startup is the right differentiator, right? It might be what works for your environment, but I just had never considered doing anything like this with this kind of regularity. And it felt like I would fail the moment that we decided to do it that way.
Well,
Like it was
because
like, there's no way I'm going to be able to create an action plan and and show people that we want to do something with this
Right.
data. But what's been really interesting is every town hall is now informed by what's on people's minds. It's
Yeah.
okay, gosh, how many times have companies missed the mark with how they communicate with their individuals? A lot. A lot. It's the number one thing that comes up on every engagement survey, right?
Right. And
So,
I think to your point, keeping your workforce engaged with the results and letting them know that they're being heard. And not only are they being heard, but you're addressing it in town halls. There's power in that for sure. The thing that would worry me the most is survey people experience survey apathy or survey exhaustion or it's like, God, we
absolutely.
have to do this again.
Same questions?
Yeah,
Yes.
right. What are we doing about this again? Because this problem that I've had, right? Because if you get
I agree.
those
I understand that.
volume of people, and they're like, well, they're not listening to my concern, you know. Meanwhile, there's this other group that all of their concerns are always addressed, right? So how do you balance that? That's, I mean, I'm starting to get overwhelmed, and we've been talking about it for 5 minutes, so I can't imagine. I can't imagine how you balance all of that. Um, that's like a full-time job.
Yeah. But here's the crazy part. So imagine I've got the capability that somebody has put in a question or concern. I send back a response because I know from the rooms that I'm sitting in that the way that you've read this is not accurate.
Yeah.
Right? So I can say, okay, but here's some information, and I can tell you based off of the information that. Sorry, I got distracted. They're asking a question, voicing a concern. I'm able to respond to them, even though I'm identified. They're anonymous.
Yeah.
They can respond back to me. So we can have a whole conversation. They remain anonymous because I can't tell who it is. But there have been times I've had multiple conversations that have come out of the survey tool that never would have happened, which is magic to me because there's so many things that by the time I've gotten through at other companies, the survey cycle, and by the time we are doing action planning, it's sometimes 2 and 3 months after the survey closed before we're really at a place where we're ready to firm up what we're going to do with that information. And
Yeah.
that can be really stale. And at times I feel like unless companies are doing things like focus groups or things like that to really gauge whether or not they're even responding to the data appropriately, sometimes companies put actions in place that completely miss the mark.
Mhm.
You know, hey, you saw this trend and you went and you added Pizza Fridays, but that wasn't what anybody was talking about,
Right.
right?
And when you think about, I mean, that really empowers the workforce in your organization, right? So just like how many organizations, while they have amazing founders and the launch of why the company started is fantastic, but when you're really able to empower people to have their voice heard, you get some really cool stuff too, like
You.
companies like Ford and what they did originally to empower the people and like, we want your ideas. We want to hear from you. What is the next thing? You know, um, the Post-it, right? It was created from somebody that worked at the company and they made this glue and it didn't work the way that they thought it did, but now you have Post-its.
I
So
really thought you were going to make a reference to Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion with the Post-it reference, and I don't know, this much sad that you didn't just bring it
well, I mean, we could do that.
up.
We could go on the road and
Look,
say
I I
we
thought
made
the Post-it
Post-its.
was created by Romeo and Michelle. I really no.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. And
I think
and
your
I
point is valid.
yeah, yeah.
Your point is valid. I just got distracted by the Post-it. I apologize.
It's okay. They're pretty powerful.
They are. And hot on the school, back to school, supply list.
Oh,
I
interesting.
I just wanted to share this with you because I know that is bizarre, and, I knew that you would have some sort of reaction of like, "What are you talking about?" Because that is not what we ever would have recommended to any company
Never.
that's doing this
No.
regularly. But you
And-
know,
and-
when I worked with Zappos, Zappos used to do this happiness question of the day. People were
oh,
surveyed as they were walking through the building, but they would aggregate that information. And so you're talking about answering a question every single day. So I don't know. I think it's something to continue to watch. It's working for us now, and I think there'll be a point where it probably won't because of survey fatigue being a real thing.
yeah.
But we've also eliminated a lot of our other surveys in order to be able to focus and make sure that the questions that we want to ask our employees with some regularity are part of it, you know?
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
interesting nonetheless.
It is. I will definitely want to hold you and me accountable. And I think we should definitely have this conversation and more in-depth planning.
Okay.
Because I would love to better understand, because we do within CPO and the clients that we have, when we do just recruiting, we have day one, week one, 30, 60, 90, 6 months in a year.
Uh-huh.
So those are typical for new hires, right? For both the individual and the leadership. So I always thought that was a little aggressive. But for a new hire, right? Again, trying to make sure that they're familiar and comfortable with the pattern.
For sure.
So I'll be interested to learn more about the consistencies and the concerns that come out of, you want to give people a platform to express themselves, but you don't want it to become that session, right?
I don't know that I don't want it to become that.
No? Tell me more.
Well, okay. And I guess mainly it's because I have never once been worried about somebody who voiced concerns, even if they did it in a way that I didn't love how it was packaged. I get worried when people stop talking to me.
Yeah, that's true.
I get really worried when people go quiet.
Yeah.
I get nervous whenever we're not hearing that this isn't going well. When somebody doesn't feel compelled to be like, that moment was trash and I need you to know why.
Yeah.
That's when I get concerned. And look, if there is a cause to have a session where people are really upset about things, then it probably meant that I should have been listening earlier. I so I don't get worked up about those kinds of sessions. I get disappointed because I feel like something missed earlier, you know?
And that's why I love you, Jamie. You just look at it in such a different way. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's a facepalm moment, you know? You're great at that. We should hand out Jamie Swaim face palms.
Face palms. Oh, that's the brand I was going for. I want to be the kind of person who makes you feel like smacking your own face.
Dang it.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
Come on, come on.
what is it? One more
I
time.
said, what's on your mind?
Oh, man. This has been a really game-changing year for me as a human, and just the evolution of Incipio. And I'm as we're continuing to evolve and working with organizations and the opportunities that we're hearing about as people want to partner with us to help solve for their workforce alignment, those are the things that I'm having conversations with potential partners about now. And it's funny that you bring it up from a survey perspective, because I just had this conversation Tuesday, a couple of days ago. And I said, when was the last time you hosted an employee engagement survey? They were like, we've never done that. So where are the things that you guys are doing, the add-ons like a discounted cell phone plan or same day pay cards that you guys are looking to roll out to the organization? How do you know that that's what you need to do? And the answer was, well, that's what everybody else is doing. So it's going into organizations and having these conversations. It's almost like that's not the right reason. If you're doing it because everybody else is doing it, then scratch that record, right? You want to be the company that, to your point, people do feel comfortable opening up and expressing their concerns, even if it is what some may consider a session of therapy. But being able to pull it back and really do some self-reflection, that and the amount of emotional intelligence or the lack of emotional intelligence that so many leaders are working through and helping them see. Where has that been this last decade? So it's hard to help. It's not hard. It's difficult to help leaders understand that they're working with 5 different generations, and there isn't one generation that communicates the same. So when you have that first generation and the 5th generation, when we look at the differentiators and the demographics of our workforce, then they get frustrated that no one signs up for health insurance. Well, what's that age group? Most individuals up until the age of 26 can still stay on their parents' plan. So that's why that demographic is not going into your insurance plan, because they still have insurance and they don't need to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have this other demographic of human where they want more insurance and less vacation, or less of those things that they're already used to because of where they are in life, the season of life that they're in. And then the groups in the middle that some of them want more vacation and less healthcare because they are healthy people, because they're living a sober life and gluten-free, and making sure that their diet and exercise is really balanced. So being able to offer your workforce differentiating benefits, you've got to start thinking about that as we're moving into a new season, and making sure that you're allowing people to give them an outlet to be heard.
Yeah.
And to your point, monthly, annually, however you fill it in the middle, as long as you're hearing from your people, is definitely a game changer too.
Yeah. It's been interesting too, because it has been a gut check for us about, hey, we communicated this and then this is the way it was received.
Yeah.
Like the ability to course correct before it's 6 months out is amazing. So what you guys can't see is that our producer sometimes gives us notes. So if you see me get stumped, it's usually because Jim has distracted me. But this one was friggin' HR was what he wrote on his board.
And
I think
I want to touch on that. That
HR. That's what he meant.
Woo!
Yeah.
I want to say that the this year's been eye-opening as well, because as more and more organizations that Incipio is talking to and learning more about the workforces and differentiators that they want for themselves, the emphasis that we're walking into oftentimes is HR is a necessary evil. And I know some may say that I'm a little biased, and probably so, but to really think about the person that's leading your HR, the person that's leading and driving forward, if they don't have a seat at the table, even if the table's 2 people, to make these decisions, if the CHRO in your organization can't quickly assume the role, even if it's interim, of CEO, then you don't have the right person. And I say that with confidence because while they don't necessarily have to have the financial or the situational circumstance from a CEO perspective as an interim, they know your people, they know your compliance, they know where you're headed from an operations standpoint. So at least the direction and drive forward can be handled.
Mhm.
Many people argue, and we get into the discussion, and free to do that too, Jamie, and we may need to take that to a whole nother episode of,
I would like to. I think this would be
yeah,
a good topic. Mhm.
well, that should really go to the COO. No, it should be the CFO. And I'm like, okay, you're going 2 different sides of the fence on both of those, operations and finance. It's
Yeah.
either going to blow up or they're going to tighten the purse strings, right?
Or
But
both.
or both.
Mhm.
So I definitely think let's put that on the list of an
I'd like
episode.
to call it the three-legged stool, Jim. That's what we're gonna call this, because I think that it's an opportunity to talk about the people, finance, and operational requirement that those 3 functions partner heavily regardless. And
I'm
I
writing it
don't
down.
yeah, that three-legged stool.
Well, Jamie, it's me and you, kid.
I can't wait. It's gonna be great.
It's happening.
Yes.
Here we go.
Are you milking a cow?
No, I'm driving.
Oh, you're driving. That makes more sense.
We had to get off the exit, and now we're getting back on.
Makes way more sense. All right, Jim, I think now is a great time to close that file.
Thanks for listening to the Workforce Therapy Files. We hope you learned something new, and we're thankful for the time that you spent with us today. If there's a topic you'd like us to discuss, reach out to us. Our contact information's listed in the show notes. Until next time, keep your head up.